Welcome to the Wrestling Fan Wrestling Show. It's episode number blah, blah, blah. I'm Shane O'Keefe, the big beefy boy, and I'm joined by a few marks. This is the first time we've had the Four Horsemen here.
Four-man boot.
Four-man booth. It never works.
What's the collective?
won't work today.
What's the collective name for Marks?
Marquee.
A marquee of
It's
Marks.
a marquee of Marks.
Yeah,
Marxists?
It's a Marxists.
A marketing.
Marketing.
I think we lay down some ground rules for the four-man boot. We all just shout over each other.
Yeah,
that
like
works
that.
best.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so give it.
Everyone agreed? We're all agreed? Everyone agreed?
Maybe every so often just throw in for a hot tag.
Yeah.
Johnny Martin, Morrow, Keyring, Key Dumfries.
You're on Dunphy.
Today we're going to talk about being pro wrestlers.
Yep.
Because we're there. We are. We're not.
Completed a 10-week beginner's training course and only went to 7 of the 10 weeks.
I did a weekend-long course, and I'm now a professional wrestler.
Yeah, I did a weekend-long course and the 10-week training course. I've previously had experience and
I have never trained. And I am now a professional wrestler.
yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's all it takes.
In Dubai, you just pay for it.
Yeah.
Over there.
I,
You
just,
just give me a
I
wrestling
got a
license.
certificate
Oh,
that
yeah,
says
buy your
I'm a
cert.
professional wrestler. Yeah.
Download off our
Unreal.
website.
Yeah.
We're all like old.
Yep.
We're all getting into the ring at whatever age that we are at. Like, how did you find it on the body?
Oh, what a loaded question. I suppose the good thing about it is that the older you are, the more things generally tend to ache and hurt anyway. So it was actually overall less troubling than maybe it would have been in my early 20s.
Yeah.
But it was sore as fuck, like it was.
Was it sore after the first? Because you did a 3-day training camp with the School of Irish Wrestling. Your first time ever, like, hitting the mat.
Ever.
Ever
Yeah.
hitting the post,
Outside
hitting-
of backyard wrestling.
Yeah. Hitting
My backyard
ropes.
wrestling career in Kilkenny in the early 2000s. Apart from that, no, not at all.
Like, how did you find it? Like, your first ever bump. And a bump, for some people who's casual, is like when you're falling flat on your back
Yeah.
onto the mat.
That was the one I found hard because there was no other context in which I've done it, you know, like I've done pratfall stuff and like stage combat stuff, but there's never a thing where you're landing directly on your back, like with your legs up in the air. So that was really fucking tough. That was like stinger territory. But you do get used to it. You get calloused and hardened.
In the 3 days.
You know what I mean? And then, yeah. And you pick up your bags like Harley race on the Sunday, throw your sports coat over your shoulder, and you just walk out with there.
You start talking like that, eh, kid? What were you done?
So week 1, I was okay. It was mostly cardio I was worried about because I'm not really doing any exercise whatsoever.
Like, fair play. You went up on your own as well.
Yeah, you didn't show up.
I
on
wasn't
week
there for the first one. I had a
Was
previous.
that terrifying? I would have been
I was-
terrified.
First night
I
on your own.
I felt like I was having one of those nightmares, cold sweats, where you're outside the thing and you're actually questioning, will I go in? Like, I've driven all the way to Dublin. Am I actually going to do this? Thank God I did. Just to get in the door was actually the hardest thing.
I was so buzzing for you.
But week 2 is where I hurt myself. Week 2 was my first front face bump, and I pulled something in my stomach. Couldn't go to week 3.
That might be your stomach, your entire stomach.
That's what I felt. There is a muscle there that I did not know existed, and pulled it, strained it, something, and couldn't couldn't sit. It was so can't even speak since I did it.
Yeah. I was so buzzing for you when you said that you were going there. Because I was down in Cork and I was like, oh, please just make him go. And you're like, all right, I'm here. I was like, yes.
But even getting there wasn't that. Like, getting there was the easy part. Getting out of the car and walking to the gym was the.
I'd have
tough
turned around and drove home.
Have you ever wanted to do it, Morrow?
Yeah, loads of times. Yeah, I did like search schools in Dubai and Abu Dhabi and stuff.
Is there schools over there?
There is one actually, yeah. It was like an hour and a half drive for me though, and I'm not as committed as Dunph. And I was doing a lot of Muay Thai and Jiu Jitsu and stuff at the time, so I just stuck with that.
There you're coming in going to Daniel Pewter the place.
Yeah. Just like absolutely front face like some poor young lad.
some legend, some Hall of Famer.
Just snap his neck like straight away. Just to show how hard.
That's what happened to Hogan, isn't it? That, like, broke
He
his
said
leg.
that like Hiro Matsuda broke his leg on purpose on the first day of training. Like it is common. I mean, we grew up with so many of the stories. Like certainly back in the day, like lads really got stretched. They really
like,
wanted to
you know,
test
you
people.
had Stu Hart or like Carl Gotch, probably two of the biggest kind of training institutions in the history of wrestling with what they produced, and those guys stretched people. Like that
Yeah.
was the real deal.
Was that a fear for ye going into it? that it was going to kind of have that type of dynamic.
I didn't think it was going to be like, we're going to be like in the fucking, what's
Hey, let me show you a hole,
what's
kid.
the place called a week in the Snake Pit? It's the Billy Robinson place where Dynamite Cage and I didn't feel like it was going to be excessively tough, like anybody was going to take advantage of you.
I felt when I went in, I could immediately see the people who I felt actually could go on and do quite well at it, and then people who had my physique who were just there for the bit.
There was a really good mix of participants, and like particularly in terms of like age ranges then as well. But everyone was just really sound.
Yeah,
and that was something that Joe Cabret said right at the start when he got in here. So at the first day of the 3-day camp, like all the experienced people, and then the beginners like ourselves, we were all just in the one group. And Joe made a point to say all that stuff that you've heard about, like hurting people and if going through the pain barrier and all that, he says it's so like old school. We don't do that here. If you're hurt, sit it out, take your time. And I was like that. That's cool because I trained.
It's reassuring when you arrive in,
Because I trained in 2008 in IWW. Didn't really have that vibe. You know what I mean? It was a bit of a weird. I remember getting into the ring and sparring, boxing. They put boxing gloves on us and started getting us to punch the heads off each other. And I was like, I'm after spending like 60 quid as a 17-year-old to get up here to Ballydial. I'm after getting a bus to get on a dart to be here, and you have me boxing in a ring. And maybe it's like you could go, they're trying to get you to work on footwork. No, it wasn't that at all. Mm-hmm. And a lot of those guys would relish the fact that you could be struggling or something. Well, that was my perception as a young lad coming in.
There's absolutely no benefit to putting boxing gloves on two lads and getting them to box at a wrestling training center.
Yeah, Vince Russo, brawl for all.
Yeah. Look what happened there.
Yeah. There's also no benefit in wrestling injured. Like, just recover and get back in the ring rather than giving yourself further damage.
That's the thing. Like, I thought it was really well run just in terms of like obviously the better shape you're in and the better a wrestler you are, the easier it's going to be for you. Like a lot of people had a lot of advantage. Like everybody had different kind of advantages and different disadvantages. And like they don't like sugarcoat it for you. You're going to have to do the things. It's just a case of like, how well you can do them. And if you can't do them, it's absolutely grand. Like
But what's also great about professional wrestling is it's a little bit like what they say about rugby. There is a role for everyone's physique, shape, size. Yeah. It's like if you're a big 6'5", 300-pound guy, you're going to be promoted like that unstoppable beast. But like you don't need to do all the cardio and running as much as someone else. But if you can get the basics and groundwork right and just work on that,
then just playing your strengths as well. Yeah, like because there's shit you're not going to be able to do.
Like if you're a skinny, long-necked dude.
All right, relax.
Pencil right here.
That's what I was getting at. Like, what's your role?
Managerial.
But there was stuff that I remember being really pissed off. Not with you. That you could do something.
You shot him?
Yeah, shot him. No, but remember, it was getting out of the ring, being thrown out of the ring, and you did a first go, and I just couldn't wrap my head around. I couldn't do it myself. So good. And then he came down and was like,
he buzzed at himself.
Yeah, he was like bigging it up, but like in a fun way.
Shane, after once it's all died down, I'll show you how it's done.
And then I had to they did the whole round. I was the first guy doing it. They did the whole fucking thing around, and then the next time because of him, I was like, no, I'm going to go do it now to prove this guy.
Yeah.
But that was the one back, like the cane shit can thing. Yeah. Like I was shitting it for that.
Yeah.
But did it. Yeah. But the other one where you're just kind of falling out, where you put your foot, you post yourself to come out. That's actually the way I was getting out of the ring. Anyway, it just happened that that was my natural way to get out of the ring.
You accidentally looked into the technique.
I know. I was just the way I was doing it. So it was just, oh fuck, okay, thank God I don't have to. Because the big problem I had, and Justy would have said it, I was constantly in my head.
Yeah.
So like we'd be running like some sequence, and I'd be like, oh God, shit, what position should I be for the arm drag block or whatever it was going to be. And just
that's like acting, when like you're on stage and you're thinking of your next line, you're in major trouble. Like
the fear, that's it.
Oh, it's coming up. I know it's soon.
Has that happened to you on stage?
Man, I had an absolute disaster on stage one night down in Cork. It was like a monologue show, 3 people, and I had like 50% of the monologue, hour long. My monologue's made up about 35 minutes of the whole thing, and I just was like, I don't know, we were in the middle of a 3-week run, and the light just flashed up on me for my like next monologue, and I was like, shit, wasn't expecting that. I just got totally lost. Like,
I have full sweat nightmares about that type of
That's
stuff.
the worst. I think in wrestling it's a little bit more forgiving because it's such a physical thing.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you see it in pro. Like
in
the worst
practice
wrestling
abroad.
promos when people lose their
Yes.
line or their train of thought.
Jumping
That's
Jeff Farmer.
excruciating.
The Miz in
Jumping
that
Jeff
debut.
Farmer.
You remember The Miz comes out to introduce him
yeah.
at the very start, and he totally forgets.
Yeah,
and
he
he does
fucked it.
not recover.
And they're just burying him.
Yeah.
Whereas, but like having to reel off a load of lines. But I suppose physically, if you forget to, once you're not dropping somebody on their fucking head or injuring someone,
Yeah.
Well, like-
you have a little bit of space to rectify it.
Like, it happens to some of the best wrestlers, but they're able to recover very, very well.
That's
Yeah.
key.
This
Key
the
is-
recovery, like, because we were running spots and like we kept getting our wires crossed in it, and it would.
Thank you for saying we and not you.
He was thinking of what he was going to have for dinner.
So kind to that you say that.
But we figured it out at the end. So what was happening was, you were meant to duck a clothesline,
Yeah.
and I hit him for the clothesline, but he kind of ran through it,
Yeah.
and then I stayed running to hit the ropes, and I was like, duck the clothesline, and he kind of ran through it again. So he wasn't bumping for me; he was no selling for me.
Absolutely no something to
And
say.
then we just started the
By
spot.
accident.
His wires weren't crossed. He knew
And
what
then-
he was doing.
And then we just started the spot then again, but like kind of in a way, I was like, just kick me in the stomach,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
he kicked me, and then
Reset.
we reset and we did the spot, and he ducked, and then he got your big slam.
Got my big slam.
He fucking Andre'd me.
Which again was another thing you're asking about. Was I nervous going in? Like I was very nervous about my lack of strength generally, because like a lot of we were throwing straight in on do this power move, not straight in, maybe week 5 do this power, like do a suplex, do a snap suplex. Like even simple things like a body slam of a guy, if the guy isn't posting himself right, or if you don't get
your timing
the
right.
equilibrium right, so like if he's vertical on you, it feels like you're carrying a bag of feathers. But if he's slightly sideways, you're just grabbing like a load of potatoes. Really, really difficult to get him in position, and then you don't want to drop him on his head, so you got to switch your hands and kind of place him down nicely. I was shitting at doing that to you in the ring. But it seemed like once we had a crowd cheering me on,
Yeah.
I got this like adrenaline strength, and I nailed it down. Slam.
Boom. Yes. got the pin and everything.
Yeah, it was deadly.
I think one of the questions I had, he kind of mentioned it. I went to Thailand a few years ago to do an MMA camp for 3 weeks. And on my first day, right, I had the list of all the classes that day or whatever. You were training like 3-4 hours a day. And I went down in the morning and I said, right, I'm going into a beginner's class here. You had all different levels. And then in the afternoon, I seen one all levels. Cage wrestling, so like up against the cage. I said, oh yeah, that sounds deadly, I'll go to that. I go down to this cage wrestling class, right? Says all levels on it. It's me and 7 professional MMA Russians, right? So the other guy I'm paired up with, they say, I will pair you up by size. Like, I'm a pretty hefty guy, So I'm paired up with this like Russian heavyweight who doesn't speak English and is ragdolling me against a cage for an hour, right? I'm getting ragdolled, like.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to tell him, I don't have much experience this. I was in a beginner's class 4 hours ago. And like, so they just throw you in there with all levels and you can kind of train with anyone. There's UFC fighters there and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It seems like a similar vibe with wrestling training, that you go to these classes, it's all levels. Like you could be in.
There is specific levels. So we did the 3-day class, and it was beginners. We did the 10-week course. It was a beginner's course. Now there was experienced guys there to help you along. But the great thing about wrestling is you have someone like Paddy Morrow in the ring with you, or Session Martina in the ring for you. Their experience makes you look better because they're selling for you. Or you do a shoulder tackle to Paddy Morrow, and he almost does a Rikishi backflip, like, and you're like, oh my God, he's so powerful. He makes you feel so good about yourself. Fabulous Nicky was his old working name. He was absolutely loved. Sammy D, right? Because he comes across like such an arsehole in the actual, like, in the draw. He was absolutely lovely.
Such a
and I
lovely
kind of,
man,
I kind of got a bit of a shock because I was like, I've seen him in the ring, and I know that's acting and all that kind of stuff. But I was like, he was like, oh, hey, man, how you doing? I was like, oh, hi. You're a dickhead in the wrestling.
Yeah, I respect you even more now.
Yeah, but he was absolutely lovely. And for some reason, that shocked me because my experiences previously in, say, IWW, there was a lot of dickheads about. There was a lot of, like, that ribbon kind of stuff. For a 17-year-old, yeah, maybe I should have been like, But I remember being told one time, oh, that a show in Kilkenny, they're going to book you on the show, bring your friends and family. Oh, yeah, that's awesome. And then I was told like an hour before the show, no, you're not on it. I was like, oh, okay.
So you just fill the crowd with your friends and family.
And then one of them, I messaged my mom. I was like, I'm not on the show. Don't come if you don't want to or whatever. One of the guys stole my phone and was like looking at all my messages and stuff, and I missed my phone for like 2 hours. And I'm freaking out then because I was like, oh, is he going to now go and tell the owner that I've after telling people, oh, I'm not wrestling, don't come if you don't want to. And I was just like, that's a bit of a fucking shitty thing to do,
You're 17 as well.
That's
That's just a really bad vibe and a toxic work environment.
Yeah.
Well, I got an RKO in the ring that night then. And I was like,
you did get booked in the end.
I ended up doing in my head, they were like, you're not going to have a match and all that. And I was like, all right, fair enough, whatever. But they were like, we'll bring you in the ring saying, this lad's from Kilkenny, starting wrestling training, hit you in RKO. I was like, all right, cool, to build up the main event.
And here's your opponent, New Jack.
But Ballymon Bruiser, I think it was, that hit me with the RKO. And I thought then in the main event, I could help the other guy from Kilkenny that was in it, help him. But no, I wasn't anywhere involved in that. I remember getting shouted at, like, for someone speaking to someone after the show, not selling my neck. Like, what are you doing not selling your neck? I was like, I took an RKO like 3 hours ago. You know what I mean? Why aren't you selling your neck? I was like, what a fucking dick. I remember telling, was it Doug Basham? It was one of them. Like, you took that RKO really well. And I was like, oh, thank you very much. And I said it to another Irish guy. I was like, oh, Doug Basham said I took an RKO really well. And they were like, it's an RKO.
Yeah.
And I was just like, why? I was really enthusiastic. And
please help me love this.
And that's what, I don't know if you noticed, but in Fight Factory, like, I try and go around. I was like, give people fist bumps. I was like, oh, well done, man. That was great.
I know. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, but like, I try and keep people
vibing. Do you know what? That encouragement, the whole 10-week course and everyone involved, sound, just a bunch of sound fuckers, whether it was the coaches or the wrestlers. It was a really good atmosphere, great vibe. Fight Factory Pro Wrestling. 100% recommend.
Yeah,
OTT had the same. I just thought the vibe in the room was great. Like, and that thing of like having the beginners training with the very obviously advanced trainees that they have and wrestlers, and everybody's kind of mixing in. Like, and it was just a fun. It's like you're like, and there's so many people in there. It's like you were just doing like a fucking giant like theater workshop or something like in the best way.
And some of them aren't good.
Some of them are really not good.
What you said about the like, it seems the same thing as the MMA thing, where like proper experienced guys are there as well. Well, what I found really interesting was like there's guys are getting booked like across Europe. They're on shows. I see it on their Instagram all the time. Like some of them are in the beginners session because they know you're working on, I don't know, like it could be like
chain wrestling,
whatever it is, but or it could be like a type of suplex or something quite unique. And they're like, oh yeah, I never learned this. And like, man,
these people are getting
you're like booked in Europe and stuff, and
they're not a move. They're not too arrogant to go, I'm getting booked now, I don't need to learn this.
No, exactly. But I just find you kind of assume when you're watching wrestlers, you're like, oh, they know every move. Like they're there, they must know A to Z everything. But like, if they skipped a certain day or if they didn't perfect something, they want to come in and learn that. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah, there was also a cross between Fight Factory guys and the OTT thing. So there was Danny was there, who you'd know from Fight Factory. Joe was there, and I was like, oh, this is cool. The guys are and I remember seeing Martin Steers, who's in the Freshness, and he was like, oh, it's good because he works with both. He's like, oh, it's good to see you also coming to this. And I was like, oh, that was really nice of him to say. I'm a 34-year-old man that's getting kind of like buzzed off lads that are in the ring just being nice, because I never
lads in their early 20s being nice to me.
I was like, oh. It was really receptive. Was there stuff that you found kind of that you couldn't wrap your head around?
I really struggled with the Canadian destroyers on day one. That was a leap too far for me. Anything I couldn't wrap my head around. No, like everything made sense. It was just really a case of going, am I physically going to be able to do this? But they make it so easy, and I can kind of see then from the trainer, like in terms of the trainers as well, like how precise they are. Like the precision they show, and I was like what would they get out of training a bunch of newbies, like people who've never done it before. And you can see that, like, if they were in a position where they had to work with someone who was completely useless. Like I was hitting Sammy D with fucking snapmares or whatever, and like I wasn't hitting him perfectly, like, but you could see the way he like landed and moved every fucking time. You go like, oh, this lad he can make anyone look good.
Yeah.
Like you see the benefit of having to work with uncoordinated people. Let's be charitable about it. And just for them, in terms of like what their precision is and how they kind of can fill in the gaps as well, and show you as a trainee like the precision of the spots you need to be hitting, like, because you realize you can't really leave anything to chance. So like timing is so quick. It's physical and it's quick. And you got to be on the ball.
Like I remember doing a thing. We were doing a wheelbarrow. It was Lucha Day. It was Lucha Day in Fight Factory, and we were doing like the wheelbarrow. So you jump into the wheelbarrow, and then you come out with an arm drag. It's just like proper lucha shit, and I couldn't get it. And then Jesse was like, "Do it to me." So I did it to him, and then I got it, and I was like, "Oh, class!" Like he was like, he kind of was saying, "It's nothing that you're necessarily doing wrong. It's just the coordination of the two people that are trying to do it.
Together.
That's what's messing up. You're physically able to do that. It's just you need a partner that can help you, and vice versa. Like, you know, and it's really cool to be reminded. Yeah, this is definitely a two-way dance, and this is you know what I mean. It's really cool to be like, oh yeah,
and it really does just fire on so many different skill sets. You know what I mean? Like there's so much in it.
Yeah,
like
the entertainment side of things. I felt like we. I'm not saying we had it perfect or in any shape or form, but like I felt we had a bit more confidence than some of the other lads did. For like, just
I was like, that was the one thing where I was like, I can do that.
That's an age thing, though. I think because you're like we're already out of the shell. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't mind making a dick of myself. I've done it numerous times.
Exactly. I know it's so freeing as well.
Yeah.
It's like,
So like you can go, come on, or you can be like, shut up, or whatever. It's just like, it's fun. Like you're playing. You know.
And it is really interesting just looking at your like lifelong knowledge of pro wrestling and how you
apply it.
What you know, what you don't know, and seeing where in the gaps lie as well. But also just kind of like going, oh yeah, no, I think I know how this.
But there's so many cool little simple things that you can do then and add it to your. I was looking at Lanny Poffo and Boris Zukev, right? They had a 20-minute match at some Los Angeles WWF show, and they're doing the international spot. So I'm like, oh, here's the international. I know what this is. Yeah, class. Lanny has him in the headlock. He gets pushed against the ropes. He goes to push him off the ropes. Lanny turns around, grabs him by the beard.
Brilliant.
So, like, you know, he doesn't do what you would expect him to do. And I was like, oh, nice. So Lanny holds him by the beard. And when he's going, Zukov goes as well. And then he just gets him back into the headlock. I was like,
little things.
Little cool, little minuscule things like that. I was like, that's badass.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't appreciate that, I think, unless you... not that you wouldn't appreciate it, but you have a bigger appreciation for it now that you know what the actual spot is, or you know the intricacies of wrestling. I think.
Yeah, I remember like in my early 20s or at a wrestling show, and some wrestlers botched something in the ring, and the crowd were kind of going, "You fucked up," and everyone's having a laugh, and I was chanting along with it. I will never chant that ever, ever again, ever. And I haven't done since for a lot of reasons, but like going to wrestling school for a few short weeks, never again. I have so much respect for what these.
I do have to apologize to Terry Thatcher, who was the former Irish Dragon. He was wrestling on a show in 2006 in the Ormond Hotel in Kilkenny. He was going up against Johnny Storm, the English wrestler. And Johnny Storm and Irish Dragon, they can do all these cool high-flying moves, but Johnny Storm hit Irish Dragon with an almighty chop. That's all we got. Like, me and my mate were like, we know that's real. So we kept going, one more chop. And then he'd do it. And then he'd be, one more chop. He just chopped the shit out of poor Irish Dragon for the whole match.
I enjoyed the chops.
Did you?
Yeah, I thought the chops were... I was able to take a chop. I wasn't able to give it initially, but I can give a good chop now. Give a good chop.
You practicing your chops?
Haven't practiced any wrestling since the last time.
What style of a chopper are you?
Little kind of cup the hand and just go from just down upward motion.
Nice.
Yeah, just around here. Yeah.
Oh,
I
could hear that.
It's fun. It's
a good chop.
Well, that was not the chop.
It's funny when they.
I'm in fucking pain.
Might do some chops before this is out.
Yeah, it's funny when you are training and like you're doing your sequences and someone goes for a chop in the sequences. It's like you don't need to do that. Like I get it that you're practicing, but like, you know, we're in a heat sequence and you're just getting chopped. You're like, oh, why is this
Why are we
happening?
getting chopped now?
Yeah, it does kind of seem like you're taking a little bit of going into business for yourself when you're chopping someone in a very minute
I'd keep
session.
calling chop spots. I'd be like, I'm going to chop you now. I'm going to chop you now.
No,
It's doing it in everyday life. Like, if you ever just chop people on the street and they chop you back,
Yeah.
I
just
felt
chopping around the
I
place.
felt bad for Randy Orton against Gunter when you seen the hand mark on him. You're like, oh, you sick motherfucker.
That's not Randy's wheelhouse.
Yeah.
What wrestler would you most hate to get chopped by?
Gunter.
Yeah.
Gunter's up there. Yeah.
Has to be.
Gunter, yeah.
Like, who else?
I wouldn't mind taking a few off Eddie Kingston. That'd be grand.
You're boy.
That'd be
Will
absolutely
Ospreay throws a mean chop these days.
I don't-
He
I don't
puts
know if I-
everything into it.
I don't know if I want to get chopped by Minoru Suzuki either. Like,
No, that doesn't look fun either.
Ishii.
gnarly.
Basically none of the New Japan
Yeah, no,
strong
they're-
style fuckers.
In Paul Tracy was someone who, because I was listening to Becky's book on the way up, and she was talking about training with Paul Tracy and Finn Balor, and then like in the same day, Paul Tracy takes us out for a training session.
I was thinking, I did, yeah, because like I was reading that book at the same time as well, and like very familiar with Paul Tracy from like years of Irish wrestling. Like he's had such a long career, but it was really like the first time getting a like an old school trainer, and I was kind of like fucking terrified because
I was terrified too.
He's got such an intimidating demeanor, and you've seen him like be such an effective heel for so many years.
Also, like
this lad's gonna kill us.
you know, he takes it so like he loves it. He takes it so seriously. I was, you know, when the advanced are beside you, or the people, the other class, they're beside us. There's two rings set up, so we're the beginners, and we're looking at the event, and you see the drills that they're going through, and you know the sound that it makes in the ring. It's just reverberates all around the hall. The people hitting shoulder, like you have 40 people all hitting shoulder tackles at the same time, going whoa, whoa, and like it's. And then you have Paul Tracy, almost like a drill sergeant, walking up and down again, one more, and you're like, oh shit! And then he comes out. And he starts playing like games with us. And shit.
like drama warm-ups, like ball games. It was class.
Yeah.
John Martin
I was
was in
like,
his element.
oh no, he's like, we're gonna have to be fucking carrying tires across a swamp.
Yeah.
Is this the moment?
But it was all like- it was
grand.
all
It was
like-
lovely, and
it
it was
was
actually all about like camaraderie and getting to know each other. Because up until that
Coordination
point,
as well.
yeah, and coordination and working with the person that's next to you, and like very quick response times.
Yeah. It was
really useful stuff.
It was really. I was just like, this is class.
So back in the day, obviously the wrestling, you know, it was all about
Didn't even have a
respect.
ring.
It was like respecting the business. So like obviously Stu Hart, whatever, they were, you know, coming along thinking that you can just blasé walk into wrestling. So you have to kind of do your, you know, learn the hard way type thing. Do you think it like and obviously that's changed a lot, both in the likes of the Irish wrestling scene and in the WWE scene as well, where, you know, now it's more about training people correctly and respect and have a nice locker room and all that good stuff. Do you think that is a part of why Irish wrestling is so successful, that it has changed a lot? Like, does that come into it?
Oh, but I think like if you're looking at 20 years ago, the two companies would have been like Irish Whip.
So you'd like,
At Fight Factory, probably. Or just,
Oh, Fight Factory. But then there was like NWA Hammerlock as well.
yeah, that was what Fight Factory became.
Oh yeah, that
Or
came out of that.
NWA Hammerlock.
Affiliate.
Fight Factory.
Okay,
Yeah.
and that was kind of like that was Finn Balor, Paul Tracy.
Yeah, they didn't even have a ring.
didn't it, according to Becky, no ring?
No, so IWW set up, and they were quite successful.
Is Sheamus? Sheamus is the last
Yeah,
of the
because-
IWW. Like none of the other Irish came through that scene, or did
Yeah,
they?
whereas like Paul.
Joe Cabret came from IWW.
Okay.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he started off there.
Where did the
I
base?
think
Where
I-
did
I
like the
think Irish
base of
Dragon
training
maybe
for that for that school come from? Like who?
I don't know. It came from is it Darren Burridge? There was an initial guy who said he trained over in America or Canada. Scott Norton, Alex, something like that. He didn't actually have. People figured out that he was kind of bullshitting. So the Pucko one, Darren Burridge, I think, came over, and he from England, and he was running classes. And then from there, when I was there, it was Bingo Balance and Ballymun Bruiser that would have been graduates of the school that were training. I thought Bingo Balance was great as well. Bruiser was cool. I really like training with Bingo a lot, because that's who I would have mostly trained with. You know, Ballymun Bruiser would probably do the more old school stuff. Like I remember we'd have boxing bags, like, you know, the punching bags, and we were just throwing punching bags on each other, like to catch it. And like, you know, in my head, I'm like, what is this? This isn't wrestling. But now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, you're going to have to
Catch a guy.
catch a guy and all that kind of stuff. But then I was like, no, I want to be in the ring doing leg drops and all that kind of stuff. So I liked bingo classes more then. And then I don't know where it went from there. I think Mandrake maybe used to run classes, but they were at shows. Mandrake was an absolute boss. I really liked him.
But for Devlin and Tracy to set up their own school,
I think they went to England.
They did. They were
learned
in
in
Hammerlock with like Andre Breaker. I think that was a training school there.
yeah. So they came back and they're like, actually, let's set up.
We'll set up
something.
one. Yeah, there's
the
going
way
to
we
be
want to do it.
an NWA Ireland.
Yes.
That's the way it worked. But like,
And then that became Fight.
I think that became Fight Factory, or it was at least in the same gym. But I'm not an Irish wrestling historian.
We need to get one of those on. Is there one?
There was a guy that was doing Facebook stuff on it, but I don't know. Did I send it into the group? The RTE video that was shot in Kilkenny.
Oh yeah, wrestling in the Carlton Ballroom in like 1968.
And then I seen Sami Zayn in the Carlton Ballroom then like in 2008 maybe.
Yeah,
Which
like
is nuts as El Generico.
Oh yeah, I realised that. Obviously, way too late, but the idea of Sami Zayn wrestling in the Carlton Ballroom is ridiculous.
Tracy Smothers.
I didn't realise it was still wrestling in the Carlton Ballroom up until like 10 years ago.
Tracy Smothers was there.
Legend.
Kid Cash, all on the same show. But they were all like family friendly stuff, and you had them littered with, say, Irish people. Then DCW started. Pete Dunne used to come over around that time and wrestle in DCW. I think that went down in flames. But you can start seeing, not that you couldn't see the influence of, say, Paul and Finn and all the Irish, but now, like OTT, since that started, and whatever kind of mindset that they had starting it and training it, because the training school started a lot later, it just seems to be paying dividends.
But like, so
LJ Cleary, Fight Factory, like Phil and Katie, who were the main trainers when I was there, when I went back in 2015, fucking bang on. And that's where LJ Cleary comes from, and that's where Lyra Valkyrie comes from.
Yeah, I sent that on during the week. Last Monday night on Raw, there was 5 Irish on, like, in major spots on the show. The show ended with Becky, Finn and JD like the main event of Raw. Like,
Still, Drew McIntyre did still say that Faye Finlay was from the UK at all, so it swings around about.
It is swings around about.
Oh,
He carried a shillelagh.
but imagine any other country having that representation, and then they're all like technically they're all from like it's basically like around the corner from each other. Like, it's that crazy
Like,
tight.
I've interviewed Jordan before he did it. I never got to meet Finn Balor, but like I was training on a Sunday when I went back in 2015. He showed up in Fight Factory on a Tuesday night. I was like, oh, like, if you really made a push ad, like, I'm not saying those were too old. If you really make a push ad, though, they're 1 or 2 step, like,
You're not a million miles removed from.
You're not a mile removed.
Yeah,
It's like insanely.
well, like you are in the course of, like, if you wanted to get there, the amount of shit that you have to like do to get there and the discipline and all that.
Yeah, but if you have the talent, you'll get there.
like, how far away did that look during the Attitude Era?
it's a different world.
Different, yeah.
And I think that's one of the main reasons why I'm like, I just really have to do this. I have to do it. And I'd assume that was the same with you. Like, you had to do it, had to try it.
Well, it wasn't so much about training to become a wrestler, but I was like, I don't want to die and just be like, I never stood inside a wrestling ring.
Yeah, and you knew that we had.
Yeah, and I was like, if those 2 schlubs,
yeah. Anyone can do this.
especially Dunphy. But I was like, I'm not getting any younger. I was like,
Yeah.
it seemed so much more accessible to me in a way that it hadn't before. And like, you guys had really kind of demystified a lot, like, of that kind of fear-based stuff where you're like, am I going to get hazed? Am I gonna have to walk
Is JBL
up a medieval tower fucking 100 times in a day?
Is JBL going to come into the shower and lather me
Yeah, it's
up?
like, what if I end up in wrestler's court my first day? All the boys are in there fucking giving me shit.
Everyone's shitting in your bag.
Yeah, I was like, no, I can't deal with it. So I came in with my big bag of fried chicken into the locker room. And everyone was into it. I know, but you did kind of demystify it as well, and it did seem like a good vibe. And I was like, fuck it. I was like, that'll just be a fun boot camp experience for a weekend.
Plus, we're all fans of OTT, so you're actually
Absolutely,
you're realizing
yeah,
you're
it
going
was
to be
like-
training with the people that we like.
Yeah, and just kind of seeing how it looks from like the other side of the curtain as well. That was a real eye opener for me as well. Because you do kind of imagine it in different ways.
It's class how accessible they are. I was like, having a conversation with Session Martina about the business, and you're like,
no bullshit. Everyone was so sound.
cool. And she's like, no, maybe try this, or maybe try that, and you're like, oh, fuck it, this is class.
Yeah, and they don't have any preconceived notions about you or what you want to be doing. If you're coming in there like trying to start the beginning of your professional journey, or if you're just like,
they don't line you up and like what you're playing.
Yeah, they don't. They
I just want to rest for the weekend. Get out of here.
Yeah, they just.
You shouldn't be wrestling unless you want to be world champion. How bad do you want it?
But they kind of just take you on your own terms. You just come in and like
some people just want to go in and have the crack for the weekend, do something physical,
having a crack. Or, like once you're not taking I
mean, we are paying for it. Like,
nobody takes the pace. Everyone's so respectful in there.
That's like you are paying for it, but like the price point is even like.
Accessible.
You said it on the first day. You were like, I would have paid €100 just for this day.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Alone, yeah.
It was just it's.
But yeah, they kind of surpassed my expectations because I was like, do some drills and learn some basics and it'll be nice. And then we got to do our little exhibition match.
You had a full match in a
60-minute Ironman match.
Sure, Broadway.
We called it on the fly.
They call it Broadway John Martin.
But you did. I wish I never kicked out. When I did, because like the spot calls for you to kick out.
You went off script, Shane, did you?
No, you went off script.
What?
You pulled an audible because you were listening to the crowd. So me and Joe were the first.
I didn't kick out though. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
what are you accusing me of here?
No, you had a full match. That's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah,
you didn't kick out. You were meant to kick out.
Oh, was I supposed to kick out?
Everyone was meant to kick out.
Well, it was me who went off script then.
But no, what I'm saying is
he put you over.
No,
you pulled an audible because the crowd were so behind.
Yeah, like I was against like Davey was the hottest baby face in the whole joint.
Honestly,
there was no way. I like send the crowd home unhappy. Crowd of wrestlers.
You should be signed there and then. You just have it.
He got him up in a frenzy so much, but like that's what I'm saying. I'm pissed I didn't take a pin because now from bell to finish, you have actually had a full match in an OTT ring. My match is still ongoing because I got out under the bottom ropes and never.
You lost via count out, really.
So did the other guys.
You can pick that back up.
Did you have a Fight Factory Pro Wrestling full match?
I was in a battle royal actually in Fight Factory years ago.
No, but in the training,
you pinned me.
I pinned you in the training, so I had my full match.
You knew that, yeah. You had your full match. I have never won a wrestling match. I actually
never will if I have my way.
In all my years in the industry, I've had, I'd say, about 20 matches, and I didn't win one of them. I was always the heel, and Shane the Bruiser always lost. That's not an effective way to get your new hot heel over.
It kind of keeps you interested, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was like,
they've given us our win. We're kind of tapped out a little bit.
Oh yeah, I was like, I've had my moments. Like,
He's been coming back since 2008 for this win.
Yeah, like I could not have been more satisfied with the experience.
I have to finish the story.
They see you as a money mark.
Yeah.
Don't let him win. He'll pay us 60 quid again next year.
like a little Tony can. He keeps doing the beginners, lads. Say nothing.
Say nothing. Make him eat the pin.
Keep him humble.
Oh, it would be funny if it wasn't true. Would you go back again? Would you do it?
I would, yeah, I would.
You'll be well in first.
Tell me when, though. When are you doing it? Why don't you do it now?
I'm waiting on my shoulder to heal, and then I'm...
You'll probably get fast tracked to the main roster. Like,
probably will be.
You're like a Lesnar-esque prospect.
Yeah, I have traps.
I know we said it earlier, but I still have a little bit of an old school mentality, and I think you should be working injured.
Okay, I'm in.
Yeah. Well, I'm out injured now. I have never been so upset in my life. I was devastated driving back that day from Fight Factory, and then was like, "Oh no, maybe I'm going to be okay." And I went up.
What happened?
I took a double underhook suplex, and I pulled my groin, and it was very upsetting for me. And I then went to OTT, School of Irish Wrestling. It was my second day in the actual school, and went into the ring. And there wasn't like a lot. It was a lot of beginners there. Whereas the week before they had a show that week, so there was a lot of like guys that were going to be on the show. So there was a lot of beginners there. It would have been perfect numbers to train. Got into the ring. We were running a spot. I felt something go in my leg. I was like, fuck! I couldn't do the spot properly. And I was like, oh no, I'll just rest it. And then we were doing the spot into the corner where Nicky throws up his leg. Went in, I took the boot, bang, went to turn back and just felt pop. And I was devastated.
Was it the underhook suplex injury? Was it your own fault?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would imagine so.
So we can't do some kind of hardcore Holly recovery angle to kind of
shoot your angle, Shane. It's okay, man.
You can't blame the person that you're. So I couldn't get myself over.
You can if you're Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't cry about it.
He literally didn't.
He didn't.
He shed not one tear for 100%.
I have a distinct memory.
Would you go back and do it? Do anything?
Yeah, like I'd do another weekend. I'd like to learn some other things. Yeah, it just even in terms of like a physical workout, it's amazing. You're literally using every part of your body and your mind all at once. I'd love to do a little bit more of it. Yeah,
how does
not
it-
extensively, but it was just so much fun.
Because you did a super intensive thing. I did a couple of hours on a Monday night for 10 weeks, 7 out of 10 weeks. How would you compare the, like, would you think it'd be better for a beginner to do the weekly thing or the weekend intensive thing?
Oh, you have to keep it going. I don't even like what we're doing. I don't even think was enough.
No. But what I mean is, say for him,
A crash course.
would you think, like as in to do your first one, should he sign up for the 10-week or should he sign up for?
That's an interesting question. I don't know because I wouldn't want to denigrate the trainers by saying, oh, this was great, which would make the other one seem lesser when. In fact, it isn't. It's all interesting. It's all, if you want to do it, I would suggest maybe doing both. Because it's just, like, I got to do wrestling for 4 days. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then the training on the Monday.
You're injured now, boy.
Makes sense.
We had to rub it in. What a fucking hater.
But, like, I would do both. Like, the only things that I don't particularly like is driving. I'm not a massive fan of driving. I hate that M50.
That worked out pretty well for you then, didn't it?
Why?
Because I drove every fucking week.
I drove once or twice.
Yeah. I hate driving. You didn't fucking drive.
I drove
what you hated.
I drove the days that he wasn't there.
Which
is quite a lot.
Yeah, it was 3 weeks.
No, but
I'll sign up on one condition. I get to have a Brock Lesnar or Spike Dudley type match with Dunph.
Mike Awesome.
You're too big. You are too big to be Spike Dudley, buddy.
Are you going back?
I would love to go back. Yeah.
Are you going back though?
Yeah, I don't know. The Monday thing is not. I like the Saturday thing, the Saturday idea, just because with work and stuff, the weekends might be a bit easier for me. But I think I will go back in some shape or form.
You?
I don't know. No, I might just. I definitely do another beginners camp again. I do, like, and as I said, with a little bit more experience of it. That's about it. I don't have any great ambitions to be a wrestler.
The thoughts of rolling around in my neck again for a while is not.
I'm 37. Like, I'm not really sure about.
You said you had traps, so you know.
He fucking does have traps.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's going to protect your neck.
True.
Like, would I?
Although I hurt my neck yawning this morning. You know,
it's the rear ones I just can't do.
I'm so interested though in the character side of things.
Well, so did you do much promo stuff in Fight Factory?
Zero, yeah.
So there was a promo session booked into the or baked into the OTT,
and like Joe Cabray,
it was like an open mic, with wrestlers.
Joe Cabray used to.
Did you
do promo?
Did you check?
No, I didn't, and I did have one, but I thought we had to do it. I thought that was going to be the thing on the Sunday afternoon, so I was like, "You come in with a promo," and I was kind of over lunch break. I was like stewing a promo. I was like, "Got to do something in front of everyone," and that wasn't the case. It ended up in kind of an open ring.
Okay,
and it was also a mix between like Joe and Paul Tracy were doing it with like Ingo McAnally came in then as well, and what I saw was like there was so many wrestlers that were over there from from the UK, from Europe, and they were genuinely using that 90 minutes as a bit of a
audition
showcase for themselves. And I was going like, I am not going to fucking rock over there now and like take up some promo time.
Yeah.
That's but
I was like the second person in the ring.
I have a 17-minute promo.
But also you want to do more wrestling. You are selling yourself to a degree, and you did a great job. Great promo. It was fantastic. Loads of people got some really creative promos, and you could just see like this was their opportunity to do it, and they're like young professionals who are, trying to get booked and trying to make their way in. Like
there's a guy
trying to get the reps in. I was like, don't leave my fucking ass up there monologuing for fucking 60 seconds.
Alex Grayson, we did a beautiful promo. He had like a card and everything.
Yeah,
he was like, I was looking at it going, there
was some really creative stuff.
Card. What was he?
I don't know. He's saying like he's like an artist and all that kind of. It was just really. And it was really well said. Yeah, slick, no ums and ahs, none of that. I went with like
I'd be doing some amount of and ah. Oh my god!
Here, boys. Yeah. That'd be me. Here, boys.
Like I like when you're looking at promos and stuff, I've always loved Mick Foley's promos, and I love the nuance that he has. So I was like trying to I think you even said it, the way I was standing was trying to be like Foley. I mean, it's because you always kind of.
It was a very Foley-esque promo, like, but it was
wasn't good though.
All the stronger for it. Like, it was really interesting just seeing people as they're developing their characters.
Yeah.
And also just kind of mad, like in some cases, like you'd see wrestlers who I've just seen them in the, advanced ring and they're really good physically and like in terms of like their fucking movement and technique and everything. Then you see them like the ring just swallowing them up when they're like got them like they're, and in fairness to them, everybody was trying to like get better, like
reps.
But, like, you could see it's all about the reps. You could see people who just did not have that experience.
Those things are two totally different.
They're so
things,
different.
like,
Yeah.
so different.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people in the room, and also you're immediately going to be giving notes.
There's no given there and then.
Like, yeah, Engo, Joe, Paul Tracy as well, I think.
Yeah, like Engo or Joe Cabret, like he was in promo class with Dusty Rhodes, and you're like, oh, wow, this is nuts.
But like if you're cutting
that is absolutely nuts.
Cutting a promo,
like, and you're
I think it's kind of running that same style. It's a bit of a, like that one's a bit open. Like not everybody could have done that because there was so many people there. So you the people who got up and did a promo were obviously the ones who were really passionate about, maybe advancing their character, but also getting the reps in. And
the notes were more.
The notes are constructive.
Were they about? Like were they like theater notes? Like were they
Angus
like diction and
Angus
projection?
Said about mine,
so.
he said the like utilize the rule of 3. So like I came out and said my name is Shane, okay, and then towards the end I said my name is Shane, okay. But I've only done it twice. Now maybe I said okay 3 times, but I only did it twice, so maybe I could have hit my name once again.
That's a really good, because so many wrestlers, well, like obviously in the independents you're not going to have like scripts done for you, and bullet points are usually usual, but that kind of rule of 3 type structure would be really beneficial for a young wrestler.
As in repeat 3 times so it gets ingrained in audiences' heads, or
have it integrated 3 times as kind of a bit of scaffolding for your promo, but
It's the
something
same-
that you can.
It's the same when we were in the ring, right? Remember I wanted to do 2 hove spots with you where you tried to pick me up. The first one you couldn't. The second one you picked me up, but I land on you.
Yeah.
And then the big payoff is when you
Number
actually
3.
do it.
Yeah,
That's the rule of
exactly.
3.
Yeah,
So people are like, oh, and now the expectation is the third time you're not going to do it, but then you do it.
And by God, did I do it?
Yeah, you did.
I'd like really good notes around like just like your placement as well, because some people genuinely in that context would know where to stand, because you don't have another. It's not like there's another partner out there to do the dance with. Like doing a promo on your own in the ring, and like a lot of the notes that were coming back were people that were just like moving around too much.
Yeah, feet moving.
Yeah, the feet been too busy.
That's the same when you're in the ring doing the match. Like you lose fucking headspace on where your feet is sometimes, and they're like, stop moving your feet, because that's what people are going to be looking at. Because think about it, the ring is up at a level, so someone's sitting there, their eye line is your feet.
Yeah.
So they're going to be, if your feet are doing all the motion, that's what they're looking at.
Footwork is actually something that that I would never have thought too much about watching wrestling, but realizing constantly that I need my right foot. My right foot needs to be more forward than my left foot, or I'm going to get caught up with
when you're in a headlock.
Or whatever. Yeah, and switching around, like the footwork part. And then once you start overthinking the footwork, you are fucking up everything else. And that was a big problem.
And like taking certain arms for certain moves and going on certain sides, like a clothesline's on with your right arm, but a shoulder block's on your left side. So all that universal stuff that can be, bar in Mexico, they do it on the other side.
And certain, like another little thing was, which you knew, it just seemed, it was maybe you knew it from when you trained before, but it was more natural for you, is, and once you said to me, it clicked, and I was like, oh, I'll never fuck it up again. It was where we were running in to do the shoulder block thing in the middle of the ring, kind of test the strength, I think. And then the next one, the person in the ring is going to bump on it. And I was like, how do you know who's going to, like, whether it's going to be me bumping you or you bumping me? You're like, if you've got momentum, if you're running, the other person is bumping. And as soon as you said that, I was like, oh, okay, now that makes sense for not just this spot, for a ton of other spots as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I love it. It's just like, I was just thinking, I was getting lost in it. I was
lost in a
like,
reverie.
when you're talking about,
can't wait to bump again.
Yeah, when you're talking about, like, I know I'm envisioning it in the ring when we were doing it. I was like, that was so much fucking fun.
Yeah, that's good.
Like getting to go on the top ropes and do elbow drops.
That was one regret I had that I wasn't brave enough to scale the top rope.
You would have been.
Nobody was. If somebody invited me, I would have got up there. But I was like,
Leg break.
it would have been like 10 times worse, probably. Fucking 2 legs and my hips and everything on. But I would have liked to have had a go at the top rope. That was one thing I would have liked to try.
Tell you, if I was a wrestler, you wouldn't see me next or near the top rope.
But when you eventually do it, it'll be special.
Oh, it'll be
Big pop.
massive. Yeah, big pop.
Brock
I'd be-
Lesnar shooting
I'd be-
star press on
That's
poor,
exactly what I was going to
on
say.
poor little Spike over there. Spike Dunphy.
I'm going to bump. I'm okay with bumping. See, you asked that about bumping. I didn't. I actually enjoy bumping a little bit because it's so novel.
I love selling, man. Selling is so much fun.
Selling is so good. But then
That goes back to the actor in you as well. Though.
It really does. You're like, yeah.
Like, that's part of performance more than the technicalities of getting your feet. In place
exactly.
and stuff like that.
yeah, it really helps. Like
That someone hits you.
you said it comes with age, but I think to be fair, all of us have been on the stage in front of 300
Oh yeah,
400 people.
Like, we've totally made it of ourselves on the stage. Loads like
so many times. But it definitely, like, I don't talk about like actor muscles, but like there was so many times where they really helped.
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
could really like rely on them, particularly when you're trying to like
Buy
sell
yourself some
the
time.
idea of something you fucked up that you're trying to cover somehow. You know,
or if you're trying to buy
but
yourself
there's-
some
it's
time.
good to be in tune and buy yourself some time, or buy your opponent some time,
There's so many little
And
things.
slow down.
and slow the
Slow
fuck down.
down.
You got to make a count.
Yeah.
There's so many things that, like, say, Nikki would say, or Phil would say. You punch someone, your hand's going to hurt after it as well. You know what I mean? So just like little things like that are like, that makes so much sense. You're like, why wasn't I doing that? I should be doing that. But when you're talking about the bump it, I don't mind being slammed. It's the flat back bump sometimes that I overthink, because you know the way you're meant to.
Oh, that was what I completely. I was
come
not
out.
able. There was no like muscle memory or instinct for that in my body at all whatsoever. It felt so weird.
It's a very unnatural thing to do to yourself.
It really is. Yeah. Like, and particularly the precision of it, like, you know, getting your palms slapped down onto the mat at the same time. Yeah.
Without your neck-
I don't feel like I ever got it really satisfactorily right either. You know.
Yeah, like
same.
so, like I know at the start a few people kind of like slapping their arms down that way, because that's what, like, if you're falling on your back, something that's the natural.
Yeah, it felt like a more natural move. Yeah.
And then you're fucking up your.
I was doing the Rick, you know, the way obviously Flair stopped bumping on one side when he got injured.
Yeah.
I was kind of doing that. I found myself kind of slightly bumping on my left side instead of my right side, because had that slight fear of going full on flat. So if you watch back that clip where we're wrestling, you'll see my flat back bump isn't exactly just like leg sweep from
It's
under
not
me.
flat.
It's not exactly flat, but it's Flair, and I think Flair is one of the best of all time. So
In your head, you were like when I hit you with that bicycle kick, I thought, I fucking guess I was like
I was 7 feet in the air.
man, and I look back at it, my legs are barely over my shin.
it's actually it is like that, but the bump I took made you look good.
It did, yeah. You remember when we were talking about when you punched someone and your hand was sore? Was your hand sore after you punched me 3 times in the face?
He spotted you.
Yeah, 3 times.
Not really. I remember. I didn't actually realize I punched it once.
Because I'm such
You
a
know
pro.
all of it as
Yeah.
well.
No, I didn't. No, I saw
I proper punched him in the face.
Spike Dunphy.
Sloppy Dunphy.
No, it's
That's
fun.
character. You got it.
Sloppy Dunphy.
Sloppy Dunphys.
Guys that we were training with, a big shout out to Bypass.
Oh yeah.
That man,
Huge.
that man needs to have more confidence in himself, because I have never believed in any man more. He's a beast of a man,
Yeah.
and really loves it. And I think, you know, he really needs to keep going. It's not something that he might know of now, but you will know of him. Bypass.
Now for bypass.
100%. He's the next big thing.
Next big thing.
And then if we keep going, we'll be looking out for a triple bypass.
Yeah, pretty much.
Could we just be a faction called Triple Bypass?
Load of outlands starting out.
Just a bit.
He's in his rookie year at 42 years of age.
His greatest rookie years. Niall Morris, age 42.
It's quadruple bypass,
It's
please.
quadruple bypass.
So you're gonna when are you starting?
Just give me a call.
Give me a call.
When I'm not injured, I'm going straight back into it. So
I'll go. Yeah, I'll go.
What are you boys doing after this recording? You want to find a patch of grass?
Yeah.
We'll come to
Yeah, we'll
James'
bring
screen or
bring-
go up to Castle, roll around for a bit.
Bring the cameras. Bring back
Is there
Clash Pro Wrestling.
any move that you wanted to do, like, obviously you couldn't do at beginner's training, and don't say the Canadian fucking Destroyer.
I genuinely want to do a frog splash.
I want to do a Falcon Arrow.
I don't know.
Falcon Arrow, like
Bob Holly's old finisher, which
off
he
the
never.
top rope.
Bob Holly's finisher, which was his
DDT.
finisher on the first like SmackDown game, and then he never
Never
used to do it in the
DDTs.
ring.
I don't think he was able.
He did it occasionally, but like it was such a cool move, and I just had never seen it before, apart from on the game.
yeah, we
I was
never
waiting
did,
ages for him
we
to do
never,
it.
never did a DDT.
Isn't that interesting?
I would love to have done a crucifix pin.
Oh well,
That
we
would
did
be
that.
cool.
We did crucifix pins.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
did that. I got fucking flattened.
I'd like to do a camel clutch.
It's funny, like even the small, like,
Yeah, but you
like
can do that to me now, like if you
I
want.
know, yeah.
we don't need a ring.
But, like personally, I would love to be in your camel clutch.
I'd actually,
I think
stretch my back out real good.
Mara, I think people would pay for you to camel clutch them. I think there's an industry out there for that.
Only camel clutches.
Yeah, only clutch. Mine is a pile driver.
that you sad you didn't get to do one.
I would fucking love to do a pile driver.
I'd say I'd say that's more of an
It's
intro.
I know that's
definitely
why.
not
That's why
beginners.
they didn't do it at beginners.
I would have
course.
loved to get a real small person in a Texas cloverleaf.
just not like
Gone full like
Dean Malenko.
Malenko 96.
Don't get Dean Malenko on one anyway.
a tarantula. Fucking.
Maybe like a Tony Storm pile driver type
That's it.
thing, just to sit there.
Yeah, that's so neat looking, isn't it?
I love that. That and
Heat Seeker, is it?
remember Foley's like he'd grab you by the back of
Yeah.
the pants and pile drive you that way.
Or double arm DDT. I'd like that as my finisher. I think that's a fucking class move.
Right? Do you have a gimmick?
Yeah, you do.
Sloppy.
Sloppy Dunphy.
He's
It's-
a part-time burger chef.
It's Spike. It's Spike. No, there's already a chef in.
Hit stiff accidentally.
There's MJ chef.
MJ Chef.
He's
Well, Luigi Primo's a pizza chef.
no, but in Fight Factory, in the place where he's training,
What's he serving up?
it's just destruction. Destruction and devastation.
With a side of twice cooked chips.
Skin on rice.
I'm basically just I'm in catering, but the lads keep telling me I'm a wrestler. I'm serving them up dinner every evening.
All his moves should be like, kind of
Food related.
Oh, yeah.
the cauliflower deer. That's it. That's nearly an hour. We give ourselves an Iron Man time limit because the last one with me and himself went 2 hours long.
2 hours, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going back. The quadruple bypass, boys.
Yeah.
All right, we're doing it. We're agreeing.
doing it.
Faction.
Okay.
All right.
Who will be the last one left?
Alive.
Who will be the Bret Hart of this faction?
Fucking hell. Shit, I'd never thought about that.
The odds are probably on you, Shane, to be fair.
Like, not the healthiest man in the world either, poor Brett, you know?
That's because of Bill Goldberg. Not Goldberg, Bill fucking Goldberg.
Goldberg.
Oh, you never mentioned Benoit.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
God, 1 hour.
Why, we nearly didn't even bring him up.
He was coming. He was going. I just skipped ahead because we're in Canada. I was going to move over, and anyway, just got out there quick.
Yeah, I guess what I wanted to say, and I guess I can only say it now, is that the move I wanted to do the most was a dive and headbutt.
I see some
Multiple times,
over
and
and over
ideally
again.
onto the concrete.
That's been the Wrestling Fan Wrestling Show. Like, subscribe, rate the podcast. If you have any questions, sound off in the comments and follow us on TikTok and Instagram. I've been the big beefy boy, Shaz Beef. This is Johnny Martz, and Morrow. Thanks very much for listening and enjoy. I can't do the sign off anymore.
Which one is the hard camera?
They're all hard cams.